Muting.
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to Fork, Mike, Knife, Season 2, Episode 7 with Pat McGee. Oh, now I just gave it away.
We all know.
Pat is the first artist that has been on Fork, Mike, Knife twice.
Yes.
So we traveled to Pat's house in Barrington, Rhode Island, 2017, I think it was.
I think it was. Fact check.
I was supposed to check that before and I forgot, but it was at least a couple of years ago. It was a lot of fun. If you haven't seen that episode, you can see all the episodes at BUNCEAROO.com, and then under events, go to Fork, Mike, Knife, and you can see all the episodes. And Pat was episode 3 of season 1.
Yeah, and we had so much fun because Jack joined us, the girls joined us. It just was a fun time that we had while we were there with them, and we got to visit. You can see Bill's shirt, one of Pat's favorite record stores, in your ear. So it's a fun episode to watch. And thanks for being here today.
Why don't we go get Pat? All right.
All right, go get Pat.
Let me go get Pat.
All right. Stand by.
I mean, I wish we were in the same space. This will do.
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
What's up with you? Looks like you're busy.
I'm wearing my customary once a year apron, but I'll wear it now.
Woohoo! Let's get sauced. Perfect.
It's only brought up for Thanksgiving, but
Yeah.
I'm not asked to be on a cooking show ever in my life. So why not now? Bust it out. My sister got that as a gag for me.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to have you here, and thanks so much for doing it.
Sure.
Having a lot of fun. We were on your stage at last night. So seeing what you're doing from your aspect of kind of that tour across the nation with music and food is so much fun for us. So we're really happy to have you here today.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on just life to calm down at some point that I can really dive deep into doing some sort of a, right now traveling's not the keenest thing in the world, but, I love to go around and play music, but I also love to meet people in different cultures and different culinary adventures, whether it's just street food or it's, the nicest restaurant in town.
Yeah.
So musicians have a very unique just outlook on that. I generally, want to have something local. I don't want to just go to Subway after the gig, Even if it's late night, it can still be pretty awesome.
Oh, absolutely. There's always out there wherever you are that the locals know about and you want.
Yeah. And the big part about that is just the dining together, whether it's the dining together of the band or it's just two of us. If it's just me and Macklin rolling around, there's something about having a meal before or after the show. It's just part of the whole thing.
Well, it's all part of that community, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten so accustomed to each other as far as music space and venues and, locations. It's also that community of sitting around the table, sharing a meal, having a drink together, sharing stories. So that's kind of what we've been doing here. And I think you're going to take us to the next level with what you're doing today.
Well,
just sharing. That's all it really is.
I was going to say, it didn't make it into the last episode last time we cooked together. But when we got to your house, it was the night before we started taping, and you said, "Hey, I'm just going to make this little charcuterie board," and I was, I'm used to a little charcuterie board, and it took you like an hour to build this board. Before
you're like, "Hello, I'm hungry."
I was going to say on this show, I think 3 episodes ago, we had a good friend of yours and ours, Michelle and Gary Hanks from 7 Steps Up. They cooked from Michigan and made a charcuterie board. So,
the red carpet does too.
I've given it away.
Yeah.
Normally I ask, what are you making?
Good job.
What are you making, Pat?
What am I making today?
Yeah.
Well, it's more what am I not making? I can hardly say charcuterie, but whatever that is. Look, I'm no professional. I just like to put out. I think it's like my parents used to do it, still do it. My grandmother would do it. We gathered around and ate. Every culture does it. I always loved it. And I was talking to Cheryl about it, and I'm going to make a board of random food to put out. And what always happens is everybody fills up on the apps, and there's no room for dinner. So it kind of gets you off the hook of an entree if you really go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can really, stuff your guests early, and then you can just focus on the libation, and the chatting, and not the leaning back and be like, oh my God, I was too stuffed to hang out.
Yeah.
So you don't want that. I just really feel like what I do on these boards, which is super random. I've never done the same way. I've also never played Rebecca the same way. I have no consistency in my life. I'll be honest with you on that. Yeah. It can be quite annoying to a lot of people, but it's a creative thing that I don't like to do it the same way ever. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some stuff out. By no means am I the dude that like paints the thing upside down and spins it and it's like a masterpiece. I'm not that, but I can certainly put out some stuff, and I wish you guys were all here to taste it.
Well,
but I learned when I did those little cooking segments the other night, the salmon and the chicken, I was like, and the hot dogs, more importantly, like, dude, stop eating it. Like, they're not paying to watch you eat. Take a tiny bite. Don't take a no one's looking bite.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So when people show up at the house, so we talked about this Huga thing, right, Cheryl?
Yes. I know.
Apparently, it's pronounced Huga.
Huga.
I didn't know anything about this. It's a Danish lifestyle, like, of sharing and intimacy with your friends, gathered around like a friendly. It doesn't always have to do with food, but I had some friends over. They said, "Dude, you're totally doing Huga right now." I'm like, "What?" So anyway, I looked it up, and apparently it's part of it. So anything that's like a positive thing, I'm in. So
good. Well, we all know that what really pairs nicely with any gathering, you mentioned libations, typically for us, wine or craft beer. Billy, we have a special guest today that we really want to introduce to you, Pat, because when you come back down for Down the Hatch next year, hopefully we can get together where Simon works and have a great meal together with some choices that he will put together from a wine perspective.
Don't be surprised if my brother knocks on your door. He's vacationing in Kill Devil Hills right now.
Well, just tell him to come up. I've got.
If Car's watching, text you and tell him to go to your address. He's probably on the beach. He's on the beach, like, just staring into blankness, just enjoying it. But yeah, I love it.
Pat, we're going to cheat a little bit today and bring in an expert. So from one of our favorite restaurants in the Outer Banks, Blue Point, we'd like to introduce Simon Kaufman.
Hello, Simon Kaufman.
In here.
Hey, how you doing, Pat?
There we go.
Oh man, you're the sommelier at Blue Point.
Simon is an advanced sommelier from the American Court of Sommeliers. So we brought in the real deal. So the idea here is, Pat, you start and show us what you're making, and we're going to start pairing some wines, even though we're not in the same room. We did bring. We've got some cheeses, we got some nuts, we got some stuff.
Yeah.
To pair with our wine.
Okay, cool.
That Simon bought for us today. But why don't we kick things off with you and what you're going to prepare?
Okay, so on that note, I'm not a sommelier. I bow down to all sommeliers, so I'm not going to speak with any intelligence here. But when people come to the house, that's the first thing you say. What are you drinking, right? And so I have various things. I'll show you what I would throw out, and for options for people, don't move. Da-da-da-da. So it's summer, it's cold, or it's hot. You want something cold. This is an awesome rosé. It's made by Mayer. It's from Austria. We've been drinking a lot of that. Someone gave me a bottle of Farniente Chardonnay. If someone super fancy comes to the house, I'll serve that. If someone else fancy comes, we got some Vouv champagne because Tara only drinks champagne. But Tara generally also drinks the good stuff. So the brew, the core bottle. And then if you're not a lush, you can have some Pellegrino. But you offer a drink, and then I get to work. So, what are you guys doing there?
Yeah, so I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, which is not unlike, every night at the restaurant, especially these days. And typically people will call me over to the table for a beverage recommendation. And it's always like, she's having scallops. And then we've got a beef short rib that's been braised for 7 hours. And we've got, crab cakes too. And maybe like a tenderloin. You're like, oh, you want 4 different glasses of wine, or you want rosé or champagne or Pinot, because that's kind of close, So I started with some champagne, and I went with a rosé, which I think is the best expression you can get in champagne. This is also grower champagne, so every bit of the vineyard is managed and harvested by the estate itself, which I think is very interesting because from year to year things change a lot. Experience that a little bit differently. So this is the Sabine Gourmet Root Rosé. It's from Grand Cru Villages, and it's about 65% Pinot Noir, and the rest is Chardonnay. And the reason why you drink champagne with cheese is it's just A, it's got the texture, and B, it has the grip to palate in between bites. But I also like it with other things. I like it with even, or, certain beef preparations also. Kind of a lighter, less fatty cut. Let's give this a go.
So you guys can still hear me, right? I can talk.
Pat,
Yep.
is somebody pouring for you?
Say again?
Is somebody pouring for you?
That would be me. A one-man show here. I forgot to talk about my ultimate beverage that I drink every day of my life, red wine. I got some Rioja here because I like some Rioja. I got a bottle of Phantom, which is kind of like, it's the poor man's $70 bottle of Cab. It tastes pretty close. I'm sure you don't agree. But one of these cool things my sister got me at a craft fair. It's to make bread dipping oil, right? But it's got this little garlic like scraper thing. So you take the garlic, you mash it in there, you make a nice little paste, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, it gets like a nice like garlicky, pretty potent garlic situation there. And throw the remaining garlic into the pot, which I'm making spiced shrimp with garlic and beer. So just throw that garlic in there.
Oh, I never thought of putting spice.
This is kicked
Oh, no.
olive oil. Kicked backup olive oil. Yeah, I mean, we have a great bake. There's just incredible bread up in Rhode Island. I learned about like great bread growing up, going to the New Jersey Shore in Philadelphia. And it didn't seem like in Virginia you could find really good bread. I don't know what the problem was there, but they just couldn't figure it out. But at least when I was a kid. Anyway, the bread in Rhode Island is ridiculous. And there's a place called 7 Star Bakery that's like people just wait in line to get a baguette. It's incredible. So I'm making some bread dipping oil. You got the garlic in there. You got extra virgin olive oil. You got a little balsamic. Get the good balsamic so it doesn't tear up your tongue and destroy your taste buds. I have a bunch of fresh herbs back here, but to save time, I have some organic Italian seasoning. I'll put that in there. I will then grab my yummy parm and my tool that I use every day, the microplane. Put some cheese up in there. Right. Take some crushed red pepper. Take, what else? I think that's about it. Find a mini whisk. Whisk that up. I don't know if you can really get an idea of what that looks like, but it's yummy. That bread I was talking about. Stick it in the oven for a little bit. this guy here. Just so we're clear, I washed my hands several times before we started this process, even though I'm only feeding myself. I like when bread is like torn apart as opposed to cut all perfect. I'm weird like that. So tear up the bread, nice pieces that people can sort of just grab. Again, you're washing your hands a lot, especially these days. You guys still there? I assume so.
We're still here, Pat.
Cool.
Just letting you do your
All
thing.
right, good. I'm talking to nobody.
We just gave you the main stage for a little bit. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, I just want to
We,
make sure I'm not like talking into an abyss.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
So-
We wanted to give you kind of an inkling about this this champagne we're tasting.
Oh, talk to me.
Well, one of the things that Simon said, because my question is always, you know, what is the right food to pair with a champagne, right? Or any kind of bubbles for that matter, because they range for me from nice and dry, crisp, all the way to the sweet, and I don't do sweet very well. This is by far the most well-balanced rosé bubbles I've had. And I'm like, I don't know what to start with. And actually, he said, start with an olive.
Yeah, the beauty of it is it's so incredibly structured, and by that I mean just, you know, if you think of graphs, it's like acidity way up there.
Yeah.
You know, alcohol not that high, but just, you know, the texture, and even because champagne's the only rosé in the world where you're allowed to take a still red wine and blend it into still white wine and then start your champagne process, that there's actually a little bit of tannin in there. I mean, it's not a ton, but it's enough. So it's like this like in a Psalm's arsenal, you know?
Yeah.
And as soon as I get people who want to start or continue drinking champagne throughout the entire meal, I'm like,
Yeah.
I like you guys. Let's do this. You know?
Well, we
Y'all
actually
seem great.
picked up some Kalamata, but we also picked up some green olives, Pat, that are in an oil with spiced pepper flakes. I grabbed the Kalamata, and I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, you can just, it's just,
Or it's like zip it. Done.
it's awesome.
Wait until you get some you know, brie or just something really rich and creamy.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, that's in there good, and then you can it's like the reset.
Yeah, so
You know?
we've got to get this for Tara.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And really, you know, most of the time food and wine pairings are pretty easy until you get cheese plates or, you know, like raw fish, sushi, that kind of direction. That's when sometimes you get a match that you're like, yeah, that's not good. But the rest of the time, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
You know, you just kind of want to match. I like to think of it, or if you want to make a music analogy, I like to think of it as kind of like matching your like tuning in at the beginning of your session, you know, matching the volumes and just the
Find the
harmony.
harmony.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
No, it's. There's many times people come over and have some wine. I'm like, and they, you know, maybe had just chugged something else, or they were coming off of a beer. I'm like, no, at least have this piece of cheddar first, or whatever it is, like, to, you know, at least let this wine do its thing in your mouth. So I'm going to keep moving along here. If this, I'm like on the page of like, I just keep making stuff. I love burrata cheese. I love tomato mozz. And I have fresh tomatoes today, yellow and red tomatoes, and I have basil from my garden outside. I'll pull it right off of this thing that I keep in here. And just so it's, I mean, is there anything better than fresh smelling basil? It's like ridiculous. If Tara would allow it, I'd put a plant like by my bedside. Anyway, so you chop up some basil. Not everybody loves it, so you got to go a little sparing, kind of like cilantro to some people, I think. I'll put it right in my mouth. Also, I take that oil that I just made, and I do a little drizzle action over all of this tomato mozz. Yep. So that's like, oh, by the way, look how cool is this little board that it's made like a guitar. It says Down the Hatch on it. It's got a little stamp right there. And so I have a bunch of these boards. My friend James Meek out in Michigan makes me these boards. He's just like, I know how you like your cheese boards, and he just keeps sending them to me. And I keep filling them up with food. So I have many of them. I'm still waiting on a flying V, but anyway. So there's that. Then there's where did I put the shrimp? It's here somewhere. Oh, look, it's in the fridge. That makes sense. So shrimp cocktail, which is like, come on, the easiest thing in the world. And some people who aren't very adventurous are just like, I'm just gonna have the shrimp cocktail. So Tara's obsessed with oysters. So every time I see oysters, anything, anywhere, we have this oyster plate. And we don't always have oysters on hand, but anything from the sea, I'll throw into this little, bowl here with some shrimp around it. I'll put the cocktail sauce in the middle. I'm losing my voice. Let's see where we're at. So we got tomato mozz, we got shrimp cocktail, and I'm gonna make some guacamole because it's just like the cheese thing doesn't take that long. Once I get going, it's ready to rock. So who doesn't like guacamole? I'll make some guacamole. You guys can keep talking, but I got all my stuff right here to make it, and I will keep building this ridiculousness. So 3 avocados, jalapeno, salt and pepper, lime, olive oil. I say cilantro, tomatoes. There you have it. These are like perfectly ready to rock. So I know these things don't go together. You're like, dude, what do you got going on there? You got like 8 different ethnicities you're serving, but I think that's what's fun. I think that's the, come on out. Yep. So.
Hey, Pat.
Yeah, go.
Well, you're working on that. I think we're going to open another bottle of wine.
Oh,
Yeah. We're working on it.
All right.
Where's the technology that I can taste that?
Smell-o-vision.
Hey, I just want to shout out to Amy Hackett. Thanks for putting up the Blue Point URL. Folks, if you're in the Outer Banks, you really should go. Little side story, before Bill and I found the property that our house is on now, we were here for a weekend around Thanksgiving and sat at the bar, had the best old-fashioned I've ever had, and then met our future builder's son. So, our heart kind of lives at the Blue Point just because it's kind of where everything began. I have a long history, obviously, here in the Outer Banks from my childhood. Pat, you probably do too. But it's really nice when you just instantly build this community before you even move here. So one of the things, Pat, we were talking about while you were introducing the things that you're working on, the shrimp cocktail. First of all, I love the fact that you have the garlic in it. Do you use Old Bay?
Okay, so I'm also making steamed shrimp and beer with Old Bay and garlic. That's going to be like a peel and eat hot shrimp. So these I'm just like, I just do lemon cocktail sauce. Like, I don't go crazy with shrimp cocktail. Just keep it cold and keep it fresh.
Yep.
I like to use a gigantic fork to mash up avocados. I don't like it when the guac is looks like it came out of a tube. Like, I like to see like chunks of avocado. So that's my point on that. Keep going.
All right, Simon, you're up.
All right, so this is more of a white wine that is kind of like say you're going to a party where, Pat, you're like, I got the cheeses, I got the charcuterie, y'all bring drinks. And, not telling them what you're making because you like to improvise a lot, which is great. But someone's got to bring a beverage. And for me, a wine that is just like your general, all across the board, not going to clash with really any cheese you can throw at it, is Vouvray, which is out of the central part of the Loire Valley in France. This area is like, if Paris is the kitchen, the Loire Valley is the garden. Their produce is along with cheeses, and then also like Sancerre and goat cheese, perfect match. That's right around the corner. for me, Vouvray, the Chenin Blanc wine, has kind of a funky cheese rindy quality to it a lot of the time. It's kind of a no-brainer. And I picked the best one that I think even exists, which is Domaine QA. Been around for about 80 years, so it's not the oldest place, but I still think it's the best. And this is their original vineyard, the Le Haut-Lieu, and it's a demi-sec. So this does have some sugar to it, which helps you out in the cheese game, especially when you got, I mean, look at all your accoutrements of honey and jams and chocolate, and you got blue cheese, which is super salty. You kind of want it, you know? So I'm curious to see if, you know, you mentioned that you really like the sweet. This wine has a beautiful balance to it. It is so crisp and acidic that you got a little bit of sugar and right away, just like a well-made lemon. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Let me know what
Well,
So what's the price point on that wine you're talking about right now?
This retail is about $45. About the same champagne. It's not. Now, with that being said, you can get Vouvray for much cheaper. This is really as expensive as you get in Vouvray. When it's style, you can certainly go with style. This is kind of, to me, still an aperitif style wine, cheese board wine. It's perfect.
it almost feels velvety. I don't know if that's the right nomenclature to use, but there's definitely a mouthfeel to it. But it's not overly sweet. It's really.
And this wine, I mean, they still have. They were founded in 1920. Bottles in their cellar from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. You know, they're super rare, but they still.
What do you recommend we pair?
Thinking the stage.
Do that. Do the blue cheese too.
Yep.
I maybe start with the blue cheese and just see how that kind of takes those little salty, crunchy bits that I love in blue cheese so much.
We were really excited about both of these because this is a buttermilk blue, so that's got its own acidity behind the blue itself. This actually has, because it's aged, it has those in it. You get a little bit of a crunch, almost like
cheese
candy. But it's almost like little salt pockets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Cool.
And I'm telling you, like super dry wines and that saltiness, it's almost, you're like, you're tiptoeing on that edge of, is this enjoyable, you know?
Yeah,
This,
absolutely.
on the other hand, would be so
So the first time I ever had wine, legit, like, hey, taste this, was in was at Portical in Nags Head at Kildare. And it was Chateau Neuf de Pape Beaucastle.
No way.
Beaucastle? They had that at Portugal?
Back in the
They
day.
did back then.
Okay.
Not
Hey,
anymore.
listen, back in the day, you would bring one really nice outfit. Once during your week here, you would get totally dressed up. I mean, look, I know I'm a lot older than you, but we used to wear little gloves and go out, and the Portical
Was
where
the
we went.
place.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Portical. There, Frank, Frank the owner. He was like, "All right, well, my road manager was had traveled to France a good bit, and he was pretty fancy pants himself. For a tour manager of a rock band, he knew his stuff.
That's great.
Granted, he turned down Harvard Med School to be our road manager, which I'm not sure that was really a good call, but he still says it was the best years of his life. So he introduced me to that wine, and that was when you could afford it. We could kind of afford it, and then it got crazy. And it's still. I had a bottle on my vacation in Jersey, and it's still one of my all-time favorite wines. Like the pepperiness of it, and it's just incredible. I love it.
I totally agree. Beaucastel is one of the three royalty Chateauneuf hop houses, and they're really known for that pepper. They're known for the gamey black peppery spice thing that sometimes I like to call hands of a stable boy in the best way. Because it's earthy and funky, and you're like, I can't stop drinking this for some reason. But you can still get into them for not the craziest amount of money compared to other wines out there that have just taken off. But
No, I saw it. Anytime if it's under $100, I mean, we're talking,
Right.
most people would choke on that, and it's true. You should choke on that price, but every once in a while, like, I hadn't had it in like 5 years. I was like, I'm getting this bottle. It was on sale for $70.
I'm going to ask a one question.
Mm.
All right. So when I hold that up, those are the legs. Is that what those
or
are?
tears.
So,
Call 'em both.
so those of us that are not as educated from a wine perspective, we're like, we swirl it and we go, oh, that's got great legs.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Is it because it has more viscosity than others?
It's a viscosity thing, and it's actually alcohol is in it, and also sugar kind of messes with it too. This has a little bit of sugar. Yeah. There's some technical stuff that I did at one point learn, and then just passed over because I was like, well, when will I be on camera and get asked this question? But to put it quickly, alcohol and sugar that you can see. So
It's gorgeous.
because these are super fat, and there is a decent amount of alcohol in this, but also a little bit of sugar, they just come down super slow, right?
I had not heard them called tears before. All right, Pat, where are you in the build?
You got
I'm gonna throw
what
these
was
shrimp
that
in.
you doing, Pat?
Your standard colossal, easy peel, shell and tail on. I'm going to throw those into this pot with a Narragansett lager empty.
One of my favorites.
We've had that.
This has got lemon, bay leaves from the garden, just ton of garlic, Old Bay, and beer. That's it. And you're gonna throw in, let's see, however many people you're having, a couple of handfuls of shrimp, and let it boil till they're pink. Turn that on. Put these away. I like to clean while I'm going because it's obnoxious when it's over and you're like, oh, I gotta move. I gotta get out of here.
You can talk about
So I'm gonna keep going with start putting some of the fruit and the cheese out. I got some really killer. My buddy who introduced me to Chateau Neuf brought me this fig jam from Cape May. It's called Beach Plum. It is ridiculous. It's just a really good fig that you can just, smear on a cracker with some cheese. It's incredible. So, carry on. I'm just going to keep putting out some things, and however I see it going is how it ends up. There's no rule.
Hey, Pat,
Yeah.
how about a video?
Oh, dude. You want
How
to?
about a video from Pat McGee?
That'd be great.
All right,
Almost as good as
back in a moment. Where you are.
that time you saw Van Halen.
You want to set this one up?
Yeah. So this is it the video for Broken Heart you got there?
Yes. Yes.
So Broken Heart is our first single off our new record. It's the Pat McGee Band original lineup that was hanging out down the Outer Banks in the 90s. And we got back together and recorded a record that sounds to me a whole heck of a lot like something that we just forgot to release from the 90s. And it's right there with Shine and Revel and in that ballpark. So, I hope you enjoy it. It feels like it took very little effort to put this song together. It happened very quickly, and it was just natural Pat McGee Band, musical reaction. So check it out.
Shooting from each other's hips like a sparks lit up the sky around me. When it came to us, we sure put up a fight. We weathered the storms the best we could. Sometimes breaking up connects us for life. It's a pain we both understood. You were worth this broken heart, just to feel again. This is not the end. We were worth these broken hearts. We both took a swing for the everything. When love's for real, it's so hard to walk away. Sometimes there is a sense in crying. The tears tell you you're allowed well most days. If you say I moved on, I'd be lying. You were worth this broken heart, just to feel again. This is not the end. We were worth these broken hearts. We both took a swing for the everything. You were worth this broken heart, just to feel again. But this is not the end. We were worth these broken hearts. We both took a swing for the everything. Broken hearts, just to feel again. This is not the end. We were worth these broken hearts. We both took a swing for the everything.
Welcome back.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. I think we're going to introduce our last wine that we have here while you're doing what you're doing.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, right. So the other thing that I like to bring to charcuterie parties is a hearty red, right? People think because it's kind of cold cuts that they're lighter in style, but you know, if you break down how to make this charcuterie, you're looking at, if you've got a sausage like chorizo, which we have, you're looking at something with heavy spice, heavy fat content. You know, if you were to eat a big piece of that, like a steak size of that, you'd be like, holy crap, that's intense, right? So it's sliced thinly, so you just get little bites, but it's still an intense experience. I don't think a wine that's light, like a Pinot Noir, would stand up to it, right? Go big, go bold, it'll work out in your favor. That being said, I think the coolest varietal that we've kind of adopted here in the States is Zinfandel. It's something that I think has the most history as far as red wine grapes that are still around and really drank fast in this country. So my favorite one is Ridge. Anything Zinfandel that they make is fantastic. They have a estate out in Sonoma County, right around Healdsburg, where they produce just a slew of different Zinfandels and Zinfandel blends, which I think are very, very interesting too. This one's 100% Zinfandel from their East Bench vineyard, which they replanted about 20 years ago now. So the vines have matured, and they're taken from very old budwood. So these vines, it's a new vineyard, but it's like cloned from older vines. So super interesting. We're gonna pop it. And
Older vines from Italy?
No, from California. Older vines you'll find. You're looking at some that are 100 years old. They were out of fashion until that whole white Zinfandel situation, and it saved this amazing treasure trove of Zinfandel. Cool. Don't say you hate white Zin, because it's great. Haven't had it in a decade, but it's great. So let's get into it. For you too, because you like a.
Oh yeah, I am the red girl. Although I'm gonna tell you right now that white.
Yeah. Good.
Yummy, yummy.
So can you guys hear me over there?
We can. Where are you
So
at?
that's Zen. Sorry about that crash, boom, bam. That's a standard sound around here.
No worries. We're used to it.
Everything okay?
Cheers, y'all.
It wasn't even followed with a. Are you all right up there?
You're okay. Rub some dirt on it.
So I'm putting out some, some Italian meats, some soppressata, some really good imported prosciutto. Prosciutto goes a long way. If you go to the grocery store and you ask them if they have imported prosciutto, I mean, this is only $3 for like 10 slices because it's super thin, but it's remarkably tastier than the one that's a third of the price. So if you're going to put out some Italian meats and you can swing $3 instead of $1, you don't need to put out that much. So if you're talking a massive party, then you might want to get the cheap stuff. But that being said, and that goes for almonds too, and nuts. And so Marcona almonds, I don't know if you ever had, I'm sure you guys have had them, but if you haven't had them out there, they're these deliciously light and colored, salted. They're a little oily, and they're incredible.
Yeah, you caught that right. They're definitely oily, but it's in a good way.
Yeah, so I'll go like regular roasted almonds, cashews, these ridiculous dill pickle almonds from Whole Foods. I don't know if you ever had them.
No, that soun's intriguing.
My friend brought them over. He's like, I'm going to watch your face when you take a bite because it's going to change your life. Watch. He's right. They're incredibly tasty.
Oh, yes.
So we're checking the shrimp. I'm sure
How's the shrimp coming?
The shrimp are done. I'm going to pour them off. And the beauty about this, just pour it out and then dump it in the pan. People give it a million different things, but I always appreciate it. It's not crab, but it's shrimp. Close enough.
So we did do so, Pat, but we also did some hummus, which, it's hard to describe hamon. It's not spicy in the least. It's shaved so thin, but there's this wonderful layer of fat that goes with it. So I've actually loaded up some of that Humboldt Fog goat cheese with a piece of hamon so that I can have it with this red Zen.
Oh, heck yeah. All right, so here is standard spiced shrimp, peel and eat.
Yum.
A bowl of gout, if you're get that kind of thing. And just Old Bay. It's just, my wife doesn't dig the Old Bay, but I will dump it right onto the shrimp as I eat it. It's just so good. So you got two different types of shrimp going on here. As far as I'm a weirdo, so I couldn't find a bowl for my chips, so I just decided to use the mortar and pestle bowl because it looks kind of cool. And you obviously saw the guac. I made that earlier. This is just organic peppers from the farm down the street with some super lemony hummus. I love the lemon stuff.
Very colorful. Pat. I like how you use the different color peppers.
You know, yeah, you got to do it. So here, I feel like I should take this off for a second.
Go for it.
Let me see what we got here. I can unplug. All right. So what I normally do, can you see this? Is I'll cut a strawberry in half, right? Hello. And I'll build this circle because blueberries roll all over the place and fall on the floor.
Yeah, they do.
I just make this huge circle and then put the other berries in the middle of it. These are car crackers. There's sesame and cracked pepper. That's triple cream brie. That's like becoming like a smoothie. It's so warm here. And grapes. And so I'm just still building. Can you see this okay?
Oh my God, yes.
All right, so this is prosciutto, imported prosciutto. These are the dill pickle, the dill almonds. This is sopacetta. You got the roasted almonds. You got the cashews. You got the Marcona almonds. This is like, I like, if you're going to get some cheddar cheese, get the oldest cheddar you can find. I also like to stab it with a fork so it crumbles like this, as opposed to like Parm, which I like to shave nice and thin. Really good imported Parm, so it's got that crystallization going on. Obviously, medley of olives, hard-boiled eggs, just salt and pepper, and then this is a stemless champagne.
Wow.
Hard-boiled eggs.
Oh yeah, he's got everything going. There's like 100 elements.
Fig, honey. I'm still going, but
Does he,
just wanted to.
Pat, do you do honey with or without the comb?
Honey with, say again?
Do you do the honey with or without a comb?
With or without a cone? Oh, with a
The
cone.
comb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually do it without just because it's a little messier with it.
Yeah, but it's cool looking.
Yeah.
So
We'll just continue.
let me keep going here. I did have this is like a set list. I mean, if I do this at a party, I'll put it out on my table and I'll write the word peppers on a piece of paper and put it in that bowl because I'll forget. So
you got to, if it's a set list, you got to bring them out slowly. You got to build it up to the big finale.
I don't know about that. I like to shock and awe them and just walk away so that I can stop cooking and enjoy the hangout. Just enjoy the hoopah.
Go Metallica.
Just open with Rebecca.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Open and close. All right.
Open and close with Rebecca.
So let me see here. I've got the bread. Did I seriously finish? There's no way I'm done.
Well, Pat, earlier
Earlier
today, Cheryl made, even though we didn't cook it live, Cheryl made 2 dishes. One is a flatbread with some fig goat cheese.
It's fig goat cheese. It is fresh fig. It is balsamic drizzle that I made. This is one of those things, and we've done this on the show before, Pat, is taking balsamic vinegar and getting it to that syrup stage, because you're going along and it's like, not done, burnt. So this one turned out, thankfully. So we drizzled that on the top. The other thing that I did, and actually started this yesterday, because there's certain dishes that just, those flavors need to meld overnight. This is a fresh tomato pie. And what I did is I took heirloom tomatoes and cherry tomatoes and roasted them slowly yesterday. And they just became sweet and soft and just lovely. And made a mixture of a blend of cojita and Parmesan, a little bit of mayo, some acidity, salt, pepper, and that cream became the base. You layered tomatoes, another base of the cheese, layered tomatoes on top. But the interesting aspect of this dish is the crust. The crust is made with crackers, and we used a variety that are gluten-free nut crackers. So this actually stands up to you being able to hold it and just eat it like a nice piece of New York pizza. And so you can use your favorite crackers, obviously, but thanks to Bon Appetit for that recipe that came in the magazine on Friday, because I was like, yesterday morning, I got to make it. So we've tried it across all the wines, and somehow magically That particular dish goes with everything.
It does. It does. I watch a
So-
lot of Bon Appetit too.
Yeah.
Brad Leone, if you're watching this, answer my emails. We should be friends.
So I'm moving all the food to my imaginary guests over here, and I'll show you what that is.
Billy, did you have any questions you wanted to ask Pat today? I know we talked about, where we are today, kind of what's going on. Is there anything particular that we wanted to drive? Because this is a capture ourselves around a table, have some wine, have some food, and then have some conversation. So I'll switch places with you.
Yeah.
I'm taking my wine.
I'm listening.
All right, he's coming.
All right.
Here he
Oh,
goes.
was that directed? That was directed at Bill, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to ask these questions of both Pat and Simon, since there are
Ooh,
our
we're gonna get
special
closer
guests.
together.
And we got about 10 minutes left. And
All
we'll
right.
close out with
Another great video.
another great song from Pat and the band. Pat, if you remember the last time we did one of these episodes, we asked some questions, really just to kind of get to know you guys a little better.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
All right. Cheryl won't be happy that I answer this question, but hey, Pat, if you had a third eye, where would you put it?
Back of my head. Come on, I'm a parent.
Well, that was
Woo! That was Billy's answer.
That's good.
Anything
Woohoo!
different?
and I would
That
look
one better, I'd
genius.
probably say on the heart. So you
Aw.
see a bit more emotion in your life, you know?
That's a keeper.
Aw, we got to introduce Hannah now.
This
Pretty
is
good.
Hannah. Say
That's
hi,
pretty
Hannah.
good.
This is-
Hannah's here. Aw,
That was good.
Short story, Pat, but if you had one story that you plan to tell to your grandchildren, what would it be?
You mean other than this moment right now?
Aw,
Oh, you're too sweet. Hi, Jack.
good
Hi,
timing.
So what would the one story be?
To tell to your grandchildren.
Your grandchildren. So you have to think past Jack and the girls.
Oh man.
That's tough.
What's the
I
best
know.
story I ever told you? Juliet is the only one in the family that loves my stories. We were sitting outside one night, and she would play me her 90s playlists, and like about 80 to 90% of the songs that came up, I have some relationship with the artist. And I'm like, Juliet, I need you. I'm giving you the right now to be like, zip it, Dad. Enough of your rock stories. I don't want to hear how you know somebody or you toured with somebody. She's always the one that's like, I actually love it. I want you to tell me more of them. I'm like, this is your last chance. So all the years of touring, honestly, it's, I don't know that there's one real story. The story is like, hey, I used to mow lawns and I was a swim coach and I saved some money and I bought a guitar, and then I somehow wrote some songs, and then people liked it, and then that became my life. I don't know how it became my life, but it did. So that's the story. I don't, it's hard to pick.
That first one was a pretty good song. That first song you wrote.
Yeah. Thank God it was that one. If it was others, I may have been in trouble. So yeah, I don't know. But
All right, let's give Simon a chance. Any ideas?
Story or like advice?
Oh, either.
Ooh,
Either.
a dice might be good.
I would say enjoy all the wine that I couldn't drink, and take it easy on your parents because one day you'll be in their shoes.
Ah, very true. Yes, very true.
All right, last question. I'll ask Simon first on this one.
All right.
What's just the strangest thing anybody's ever asked you at a table as a song?
Oh.
You got Boone's Farm?
What is the strangest thing? I mean, I feel like you get kind of dulled away to these things. You know what I mean?
But when you
we're-
walk back into the
we're-
kitchen, so wait a minute, I gotta tell you what they just.
I mean, I once had someone ask me for a side of shaved Parmesan cheese for their ceviche, and it made me about want to die.
Oh,
And one
Yep.
time I had someone drink. Your neighbor has a great story about how he has served a Bloody Mary to the same lady through every course of her meal, and when it came time for her dessert, he was like, all right, what can I get you to drink with your creme brulee? Perhaps some Sauterne or like coffee or something normal? And she's like, no, I'll have another Bloody Mary. And I done the same thing, but with a chocolate martini all the way through scallop appetizer, crab cake appetizer, some other thing. So at this point, like, nothing really shocks me anymore.
Yes.
It's good fun.
Ick.
Pat, what's the strangest thing anybody's ever yelled at you on stage?
Strangest thing anyone's ever yelled at us on stage. Well, it usually starts with, remember that time? Like, and if that happens, I shut down immediately. All right.
Can I come on stage and sing?
Yeah.
Since it's Chardy's birthday today, I can blame it on Chardy. That was probably Chardy. That wasn't a story about me. So I don't know, man. Chris, our drummer who passed away, he always used to joke that there's some dude in the crowd that screams, "Play Rebecca for my girlfriend," and that was. Then I'd have to go right into it, and I have to play it.
Absolutely. And you almost now have to. Oh.
You all right? Are you okay? Didn't anybody ever give a care anyway? Will you be all right after we go? I was so excited. Won't you tell me someday? Oh, I'll never know. This is the kid that just filmed a music video before this thing started today.
Yeah.
And it was a lot. Maybe he used all his energy.
I think he did. But Pat, I have to tell you that the spread looks amazing.
Well,
absolutely amazing.
If you're in Rhode Island and you want to come over to my house, it's all ready to roll. Just come on over.
Listen.
Otherwise, Jack and I are going to sit here.
Aww.
Well, Pat, I think we're gonna close out with a montage from Sugar Packet, the new album. A lot of people know, I think. We've heard the story, but for those that don't know, why is the album called Sugar Packet?
Speaking of food, and the way I like to eat, we would go on the road and I would always bring us to like, hey man, let's go out and check out this killer steakhouse or this killer seafood place. And 99% of the time I paid the tab. But there's always those times when I wouldn't. And Chris Williams, who always joked that he never had any money, our drummer, and he borrowed the line from Tommy Boy, and he's like, and the waiter would say, "Sir, can I interest you in a filet mignon?" And he'd say, "Just have a sugar packet or two. It's fine." And we all look at him like, "I got you, dude. Go ahead and order the filet." So Chris would always say, "No, I'll just have a sugar packet." And so that's a nod to Chris Williams.
Well, we'll always have your back, Pat. Thank you so much for today. And thanks for taking the time with everybody this afternoon to share what you do. It's awesome.
All right. You're all invited. Come on over. Hurry
All
up.
right. Well, we're going to move to a wonderful video. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon. And Simon, thank you so much. Blue Point,
anytime.
Duck.
Come by. I'm there most nights, more nights than not. So we'll see you there.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the sunset.
Bye, y'all.
I'm going to send my brother over there, Simon.
Please.
All right. Please
Sounds
do.
good.
All right.
Broken hearts. We both took a swing for the everything. I'm unfinished, I'm unread, I'm unwritten. Sometimes I'm on everything. I hope I leave these grounds before y'all, because I'm bound to come unbound without my bookends. Without my bookends. Without my bookends. Oh, without my bookends. Come on, babe. I'm pretty sure that I could be your upgrade. It's not you, it's him, it's never too late. Too late to call me over, so come on, babe. I'm your upgrade. Come on, babe. I'm pretty sure that I could be your upgrade. It's not you, it's him, it's never too late. Too late to call me over, so come on, babe. I'm your upgrade. Whoa, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Leaving home, take only the things to get you through. When you're leaving home, in time you'll find what it gave to you. Feels like it's on tonight. Giving it the old college try. I'm gonna ring up my friends and make them testify. We know how to do it right. Just smile and wave and say goodbye. Stay out way past 9, split a bottle of half decent wine. Like I'm ready to got you in her ring, chasing that moonlit up. Ready to a girl like that's got her own agenda. Ready to can't you see I'm the real pretender? They're all like me, sitting on the bottom of the sea, looking up